Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, here with my special guest, the coach, Drew England. And we are going to bring to you tonight a Big 12 deep dive into 4 football teams looking to make a big run in 2023. Welcome to the show, Drew.
What's up, man? Been a minute. Yeah, I've been, back and forth and then doing some stuff and really crazy summer, moved to Norman and everything like that.
Oh.
Took a new coaching job in Oklahoma City. So excited about that. But happy to always get on and talk football. That's my thing. So.
Well, yeah, man, congratulations on the new gig. And man, excited to kind of get into some of this stuff as well. I was at, of course, Big 12 Media Days this past week with the coach, Coach Roybal, and man, we had a good time, but there was a lot of stuff to kind of get into.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to run through, as you can see up on the right side, everybody, we're going to go through the defending champions first with Kansas State. Can they repeat this season? I think a lot of people have them as the favorites to do so. If it's not going to be Oklahoma or Texas, I think the rest of the league kind of expects that it should be K-State again. We'll also jump into the Baylor Bears. 2 years ago, the champion coming, from middle of the pack kind of during the season after taking a tough L to Oklahoma State, beating Oklahoma, then beating Oklahoma State with as Okie Light did their Okie Light thing in the championship game, then winning that Sugar Bowl. But last year was really kind of one of those tough years for them. We're going to talk about whether or not we think they can bounce back or not. Then we're going to get into Jalen Daniels, the preseason player of the year in the Big 12, electric quarterback. Will they take the next step and compete for the Big 12 championship? And we'll close it out with Joey McGuire's Texas Tech Red Raiders thinking big in 2023. What do you think about them? Just as we get kind of going in this, are you as impressed as a lot of us have been with Joey and what he's doing there?
Well, with Joey, man, as being a high school football coach myself, I've always respected the heck out of Joey McGuire and what he's done, especially his time at Cedar Hill and everything down there. Always kind of had a pulse on what he's been doing and the way he builds relationships with coaches down in the state of Texas and the ability to recruit and build relationships with those guys. And, I don't see why he can't be successful, especially with the new stuff they got going at Texas Tech, building the new facilities and renovations and stuff that they're doing in Lubbock. Man, I see some good things happening this year. I mean, we'll get into that here in a little bit, but just as just an overview, love the heck out of Coach McGuire and what he does.
Yeah, I think that his ability to connect with those coaches, like you were talking about in the state of Texas, that's a big deal. With that, Texas High School Coaches Association is a huge deal in the state. Coach Roybal talks about it all the time, and he was a member of that association as well when he was at Dallas Skyline. And it's crazy. The whole time we were at Big 12 Media Days, all those coaches doing, every one of them, and it'd been 20 years since he'd been coach over there at Skyline, but I'll remember him. Of course, he coached around there for a long time in a lot of places, but it's such a big deal. He was the president of that thing. It's kind of similar to being the Texas coach, the Texas head coach, you know what I mean, at University of Texas. So it's, everybody
big network, man.
It sure is, man. It sure is. So it's a big deal, right? Just looking forward to it, man. So Random's new. Hey, folks, welcome to the show, everybody. We don't have a ton of folks in here just yet, but we kind of announced it a little late. We're going to get into these deep dives, starting with this one tonight. We'll be adding 4 more teams probably over the weekend as we're trying to finish up this studio and everything, but I had a little bit of time today for us to jump in and do this. So we're going to do these 4, and then we'll start with 4 more, and I'll announce that here in the next couple of days. Welcome, everybody, though. Lemon, thanks for coming back. Hank, always here every time. Oh, Hank is my guy. Random memes. I think you're new to the to the stream. Appreciate you being here. If you're not already a subscriber, please do hit that subscriber button. Folks, everybody hit that subscriber button if you haven't already. We did just hit our 2,000 subscribers. That's an awesome feeling for us. Did it in under a year to get that many, so that feels good. We're hoping to continue to kind of push forward. What's up, Sooner Cowboys, man? We're going to be in here and talking. And yeah, Lemon, you're always in here. It's my guy. Yeah, my guys are always here. Happy to see you guys back in here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to get ours rolling again here in the fall. Me and Zach are doing the Under Official Review podcast coming back, so we're going to be doing a lot of preseason stuff.
Tell us where to find you real quick and put that in the comments.
August 1st, we'll be kicking back off with the Under Official Review podcast. We do college football, NFL stuff there. And then me and Christian with the Anything OU podcast, looking to relaunch that again, doing some stuff. It's just been a crazy summer, but we'll look for some stuff in August. I'll put it in the comments here in a little bit, but I'll make sure you guys have the link here. So if you're watching it now or watching it later, you guys can find us. I'll put all that stuff in there. But, yeah, just super excited. So,
and we'll make sure all that is in the description no matter what by the time we get done here. And just that way you get it there. Let's see. Keep up the great work. Hey, thanks a lot, Anthony. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, Sooner, man. Boomer Sooner. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Drew, let's talk a little bit about those defending champion Kansas State. Hey, as OU fans, we're kind of probably a little happy that OU doesn't have to deal with them unless they get them in the championship game this year, right?
Yeah.
It's been kind of a thorn in the side of every Oklahoma team for the last 5 or 6 years. Chris Klieman has taken from going from that Division II level. He hasn't missed a beat, right?
No, I mean, he's just solid dude. And I remember when that hire came about, and I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a really solid hire. But I was just like, I don't know. But going into his 5th year, I mean, he's got 10-4 last year. I mean, obviously the bowl game against Bama, everybody wants to kind of talk about that and everything. But they had a really solid year, beating some really good teams. Obviously beat us, at home last year, and even in the wins that we've had over the past handful of years has been always tight ball games. We had to go up to Manhattan a couple years ago. Spencer Rattler threw a late touchdown to win that game. Everything like that, but it's always been battles. Even when Bill Snyder and Bob Stoops were coaching at Oklahoma and Kansas State, always had some tough battles and everything like that. And so to not see them on the regular season schedule, I mean, I'll be honest, it's weird, but it's kind of nice, but at the same time, hopefully, down the road we can, maybe see them and get a little taste of redemption before we head out into the SEC. So that's, anything. But going into this year, man, coming off a 10-4 season, obviously winning the Big 12, had a solid year. They're returning a lot of guys. They're returning 8 guys on offense and 5 guys on defense. Most notably, obviously with Adrian Martinez, but Will Howard is a damn good quarterback. Then they have, DJ Gibbons at running back. And then Brooks kind of emerged last year as a really, really good target, really good receiver for them. Got them coming back. All 5 of their offensive linemen are coming back. That's huge for them because they like to ground and pound and do that type of stuff. And so for them, that's kind of where it starts up front is Kansas State and, what they do up front, tough, everything like that. And then what's interesting too is a couple years ago, switching to the 3-3-5 defense, doing a lot of coming with a lot of different pressures and how that defense is, and you get multiple looks and everything like that. So they got 5 guys coming back on defense. They're replacing some guys on defense. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Not too many times you have Kansas State as the defending champs. So everybody's going in saying, all right, it's time to beat Kansas State. And, they're kind of still under the radar, even though they're the defending champs. I think not a whole lot of people are giving them, a ton of praise because obviously it's the Texas hype. And it's, it's about that time of the year where everybody's like, oh, Texas is going to, go undefeated and all that. Great. They have a great team. So I think
summer for the 20th year in a row.
But like I even, Phil Steele and all these guys, they're, coming out with their predictions. They got Oklahoma, or they got Texas 1, Oklahoma 2, Kansas State right there at 3. So, and then you have their schedule pulled up, and I was going to go through that too. So, Missouri State, a good opening, JV team for them to come out. But I say that, and Missouri State should have beat Arkansas last year, with Bobby Petrino there. But Bobby not being there, they're going to be a different looking team. And so, Southeast Missouri State, Kansas plays Missouri State to open, but Southeast Missouri State, Troy should be 2 wins right off the bat. And then an interesting game there as you look at the third game of the season, Missouri at Missouri. It's a I know Kansas and Missouri are more of a rival, but Kansas State and Missouri haven't played. I don't know when the last time they got together, but that's going to be an interesting early game for both of these teams early in the season when you got Missouri and Kansas State. And so it's going to be interesting to see that game. And then opening up with Central Florida, that's John Rice Plumlee and Gus Bus and doing all that stuff. That's going to be an interesting game for a lot of people this year. Then they got their bye. They're at Oklahoma State, at Tech, TCU at home, Houston at home, at Texas, Baylor, at Kansas, and Iowa State to finish the season. So the key games that I wrote down for K-State this year, that first test against Missouri at Missouri, right. I wrote because it's the opening game of the Big 12 slate at Central Florida, or at home against Central Florida, at Tech, at Texas, and at Kansas. I put all their at games because those are some tough road games for them this year. And so it'll be interesting to see, where they play. Their bye week files really early this year. And so it's going to be interesting because they've got the stretch run starting with Oklahoma State and then working all the way down to their back end. So they're not going to get a break for 8 games. And so, very interesting schedule. I still think that they have the potential to go 9-3, 8-4 with this schedule. But there's a few games, obviously those are the toss-up games that I was talking about. Tech, Texas, Missouri, and Central Florida, I think were games that I had circled for them, because I think the Big 12 schedule, even though we're not on it, gets a little tougher with some of these road games that they have. So that's kind of my quick little brief.
Nice deep dive. I like it, and I tell you, I don't know why you would think that they're under the radar because and I know a lot of people do that you're going to overlook them. But this is a team that has it's continually gotten better. Real quick, Lemon Lime, does it seem a little better now? I did like an autofocus thing on the camera. They said
the screen that you're sharing, I can see it clear. So
okay, it may just be your internet may be a little slow wherever you're out there, Lemon. Hopefully that's all it is. But I'll undo the share real quick since we got through that. Well, real quick though, looking at these, so they're big games, obviously. Because when you look at the media predictions, which they never really turn out, but K-State and Texas Tech would be those teams that if Texas, Oklahoma don't get it done, those are the ones that you expect. Of course, Kansas State being the defending champs. Now, that's obviously a huge game in Lubbock. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Their Oklahoma State game, that's probably going to be a pretty good one as well. I don't know that UCF is going to probably be ready for what they're going to see a lot of these times, especially these road games. And I think, we kind of talked about it on that Big 12 Mafia show the other day I was on, and they brought something up that it's going to be, you realize how West Virginia's kind of struggled with that. It's just such a long freaking trip from over there to a lot of these places. And so to kind of get adjusted to that, plus they've been recruiting around 70, that's their average for a while. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Gus to kind of pull it together.
That's the team that I circle on everybody's schedule because you really don't know what you're going to get. But with an experienced back that they have, that kind of type of offense that's always, gave fit defenses. I just don't know enough about what they're going to look like in the Big 12 to really say, oh man, they got a really good shot against Kansas State, or Kansas State's got a good shot against. Same way with Houston, and obviously that are coming in. I know BYU was some tough be a tough game for people to go to just because of the altitude, the distance, all that stuff too. So those 4 teams, even Cincinnati, it's like, all right, the new guys on the block, we don't really know what they're about in a new conference, and so it's going to be something for me to no matter who they play in the Big 12. It's all right. Let's see what these new guys bring to the table, and
sure.
So I like it though. I like what.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see where they all stack up. I think
like what
BYU's another one
has done and the Big 12 has done with being proactive. They didn't just sit on their hands and say, "Oh, poor me, Oklahoma, Texas are leaving." No, they went out and got some pretty quality teams, which is good for them. So.
Yeah, I think it was something they probably should have done a while back. But, with Brett Yormark, he's been proactive about what he's done since he took over the job. I think, you can't really say a whole lot of bad stuff other than what you kind of heard a lot of out of Big 12 media days. But, that vitriol was there. You could definitely feel it in there that they're kind of ready for these guys to get out of here, and that's fine. I think Oklahoma and Texas are ready to lead. So,
it's good. Like he said in one part of the Big 12 media, they said, I think it's best I think it's a good win-win for both parties. And so it's cool. Everybody shake hands and
let's just move on. And, hopefully they'll do the right thing as far as with the officiating, because we know what happened there last year.
That's a whole another episode, right?
Right. Starting with that OSU game, if OSU is good at all, which I'm not sure that I believe
that's another team that's you've got about half of the teams in the Big 12 right now that you're like, man, I really don't know, what it looks like, and Oklahoma included. As a big OU fan as I am, I'm like, I think we've done enough, and we'll get to obviously on other times, but there's some teams that out there that are, about half the field. You're like, all right, half the conference. You're like, okay, let's, it's going to be intriguing. It's going to be a good year.
I think it is too. And I was saying, starting with that, you look at Texas Tech, then they're at home against TCU, a rematch of the Big 12 championship game. Mm-hmm. Then they're at home again with Houston. Then they're on the road to Texas. This is a stretch. Baylor, then they close out with Kansas and Iowa State. If Iowa State, and it's something I asked Matt Campbell at the media days about, was like, dude, your defenses are killing it. At some point, are you guys going to make that step forward?
Gotta score points.
Because if they do, Iowa State could be a pain in the ass too. That nobody really wants to talk about that. But defensively, they're top 10 every year. If they can get anything going offensively, they're going to be a problem as well. So I could see this is, as much as I believe in K-State and what they're doing, Chris Kleiman, that's a tough stretch of games right there, man.
I can see them going, like I said earlier, 9-3, 8-4, but I could also see them having a tough year too, depending on some things and stuff like that. So it could go either way for a lot of these teams, like I just said, in the Big 12. So interesting for Kansas State to see how they hold this Big 12 crown and see if they can get back to the Big 12 championship at least.
Guys, everything seems to be okay on this end. I'm checking the network speed, it's good. I'm going out at full 1080. Drew seems to be as well. I don't know maybe if you refresh or something like that, maybe it would help. I don't know. Maybe we're just having it could be one of those things where it's just kind of full on the network, but my network seems to, I'm uploading it as fast a speed as I can from here. So I don't know what's going on, but I hope everything's all right there. And maybe it'll clean itself up there, Random. I don't know, man. Hopefully it does, but it seems to be going out good from here. So I don't think it's on this end.
Right on.
And I've got it on full HD. So, all right. I'm going to stop the screen share right here. We'll jump into the next one. We're going to jump into the Baylor Bears. Obviously, look, it's been one of those deals where with Baylor, as we just kind of talked about before, coming in on precast, I don't know really what to think of these guys. And we kind of talked about it a little bit last night where, it's just, they seem to be, they looked really good, of course, going in, winning the conference championship in Dave Aranda's second year. But it just didn't look the same last year. I don't know if it's a quarterback problem or if it's a philosophical thing, because as I was telling you, the interview session there, man, it was just a little off to me. And first off, I do want to say that, prayers out to Dave Aranda for losing his father. Been there, done that. I understand that. Maybe that had something to do with it as well. But from what I understand, I think he's just kind of there. My thought is that I think he probably needs to win this year. But looking at this, and they start off pretty, they start off with Texas State. They've done that a lot over the last few years. But that week 2 game with Utah coming to town, I think it's going to be good for them to be early because of the fact that, you've got the hour difference and it's a 10 o'clock game already. That might help them a lot. But then they turn around and play Long Island. I don't know what you're going to figure out from that.
Long Island, I thought that was I didn't know that was I didn't know they had a football program. I looked at their schedule. I was like, is this a typo?
Nice tea?
Yeah. It's like, it's a long what? Like, what is this? Like, geez.
Oh man, this is funny, man. It's in full HD. Hey Drew, check your left nostril. Yeah, old chicken, man. He's checking make sure we're booger free. Got to make sure we're booger free. Thank you, chicken.
Appreciate it.
Chicken's always busting chops.
He's good.
Yeah. All right. So LIU, I didn't really realize they had a football team there either.
Yeah, Jimmy, me too, man. I'm with you. I'm with you, bro.
Hey man, you only need one of those suckers, man. You're ready to rock and roll after that.
Mixing it,
freaking clothes fall right off of me, buddy. That's why I don't drink so much no more. Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Let's see. Baylor's 7-6 candidate. Yeah, I can see that, Hank. And here's the thing. I feel like they're going to start off. They probably lose the Utah game. I just don't think that they're as good.
Like I told you in the green room before the show started, we're going to know real quick what Baylor is. And you're not going to get a full, obviously, teams track and learn from games like that, and stuff like that. But it's that's going to be a really one. It's at home, so it's a good game. But we're going to know real quick what Baylor looks like.
Is Blake Shapen going to have progressed a little bit? Because I think there was times that last year that he looked okay. There was times that he didn't look very good at all. And so I think that that's going to be the biggest issue with them. They have an amazing running back in Richard Reese. He came in and was the freshman of the year kind of candidate type of deal. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel won the newcomer of the year, but Richard Reese came in and had some kind of season as a freshman.
And then they've got Dominic Richardson.
Now they added
Dominic Richardson Jr. So they have a pretty good running game, and hopefully that takes some pressure off of Shapen because he tends to press and really kind of do it on his own. And so, hopefully their running game gets going and they can, alleviate some of that pressure off of Shapen. But, and the big thing is going to be their offensive line. Their offensive line, I think, allowed like 20 sacks last year or something like that. And so it was that was one of those things where that's one question mark on the offensive side that they're going to clean up is their offensive line and
But even their defensive line was struggling last year, it seemed like, too. Aside from their one main guy, they seem to struggle in the trenches on both sides of the football. So that seemed to be one of the issues that you're running over. The delay is over a minute. Dude, there's no way. I'm not there at all. Hold on 1 second. Let me just check this.
I think everybody else said they were good, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too, buddy.
You may have to get out and come back in.
Yeah, because I'm right there. I think I'm at like 3 or 4 seconds, maybe. But it's right, and I mean that's pretty normal where it's at. But I mean, like I said, I could show you my speed test is I'm getting out of there fast. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like it's all good, but I'm sorry, bud. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. The chickens, everybody else is saying it's good. Yeah, the thing about Shapen is, there's times that he looks really good. I think he throws a good ball. But again, every quarterback is going to look bad when they're getting under pressure, and that doesn't matter. All the way up to the NFL level, whatever happens at that point. If your offensive line isn't holding up, it's a tough day. Yeah. I think with Richard Reese and having, like you said, Dominic Richardson coming in from Oklahoma State, and he's been their lead back for the past couple of years. I think that's probably good for him. Okie like Cody likes to say that, he was kind of a half-assed guy or whatever, and that they got guys that are going to do a lot better. I don't know about that. I think Dominic was good.
Is Oklahoma State going to be able to find 22 guys to put on the field this year? I don't know.
Yeah, they've been busy in the portal. I think a lot of the guys are reclaimed type of people, but it's it's kind of one of them deals that, yeah. As far as the comments are concerned, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, I just pop whatever I see up there, and I don't really see them all. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, and I don't necessarily see them all. If you want to make sure that I see your comment, you can hit that super chat. It will pop up for sure, but it goes through here fast. We got a few people in here, and everybody's real active in here, so I may not necessarily see you. I try to get through as many of them as I can, though, so it keeps on there going up. Okay, so looking at this schedule, obviously you got Texas being, week 4. Even though it's there at Baylor, this is when you start finding out what Texas is about, I think. Because
Alabama, but that's a whole nother. But yeah, those two teams opening up with each other in Big 12 play. Yeah, you're going to know a lot about both of those teams.
Because I think both of them are going to have a loss now. You know what I mean? You're going to have a loss
because both teams are coming off pretty good wins.
Probably going to have they're probably going to
have pretty good week 2 games. Yep, absolutely.
Right. Yep. So to me, this is where you start seeing where the rubber meets the road with these two guys. They back that up with the trip to UCF. Now we know that the bounce house has been a tough place for people to play. I think that Baylor, again, I feel like this is a program that should be able to go out there and win. I don't know how easy that's going to be to do that there. We're going to find out how Big 12 teams handle that there in Orlando because, the teams in the AAC didn't very well, but this isn't the AAC. And I also feel like UCF has painted a big target on their back with their mouth. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out where they're at. We'll see. But then they come home and they got to play host to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This is, again, one of those big games that we're going to find out. This is where you're going to start seeing some separation in the conference, I think.
Yep. And I think with Baylor, they have a pretty good middle of the schedule bye too, so that will help them if they have some injuries or if they have some things they need to tweak. So I think their bye week could fall at a good time for them.
I think so too.
Yeah, especially then you go on the road to Cincinnati, so it could fall nicely for them depending on where they're at as far as wins losses. So.
Yeah, I think for as far as road games are concerned, Cincinnati should be the one that's the cupcakeist. With having lost Coach Fickle, they lost a lot of guys that, I know they got a guy that seems like he's had a pretty good career at quarterback. He's bounced around a little bit, but I don't expect a ton from Cincy. Maybe we'll find out different when OU gets
it's like I said earlier, with the 4 teams coming in, you really don't know what you're going to get from any of them. You got a little bit of UCF, but yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not going to touch that one, Matt.
I was super. We're not going to jump into that really right now. We're going to jump into these teams, and I may talk a little bit about that. We kind of did talk about it last night on what we thought about the whole deal with BV and Coach Prime. I don't really want to get into it though. I got to be honest with you. To me, it's just fodder for BS, and
media needs some content to hold them over till football season. So
yeah. And look, I'm kind of with you here. The way that they came in and started talking all that trash about Dylan, and the way he left, they said that he's scared to run, this and that he's weak. It's just a weird deal. He definitely stepped up at times. There was times that he wasn't great last year, but let's be honest. Without them being in that top 15 in the country in total offense, they don't even win 5. They wouldn't. No, and so he's going to have a hell of a lot more behind him than what he had at UCF, and he won a lot of freaking football games for UCF, by the way. So I don't know what their deal is.
Well, and part of it too is
to me that you would come in mouthy like that when
Yeah, well, Gus has kind of been
Navy last
that
year,
type
bro.
of guy. Yeah, so
yeah, I don't know. It's something weird about those guys, but yeah. Talking noise for a minute. Yeah, listen, and I get it. I understand what you guys are talking about. But here's the one thing I'm going to say, and I'm not dissing BV here, so do not take this wrong. He kind of asked for this, whatever it was, he brought up what he said about Deion. It kind of got Deion a little upset, and of course, it's going to tick off the media that loves Deion Sanders. I don't have a problem with Coach Prime.
Here's the thing, though. Deion has not made a comment on it.
He has now.
That whole thing was made up.
Now.
No.
Was it?
No, that was made up. He said, he tweeted out, he goes, "I'd like to find the person who's speaking for me." Like, he never said that.
Well, I saw that earlier, and I sent it to Coach, and I was like, "Oh gosh." Well, maybe that's not.
Deion has not made a comment on it.
I know Wilbon's been upset about it, but that did. I mean, it kind of sounded like Deion's words to me, but it could have been anybody. But Wilbon is what he. Hey man, I've had my issues with him too, so I don't even really. Again, I don't think it's as big a deal as what it's being made to be in the media, to be honest with you. And here we are talking about it, even though I don't want to. But I don't think it's as big a deal as, like we said last night on the show. I doubt that BV cares, and I doubt that Deion cares. They don't play each other. I mean, they would have to both be in the playoff, and I don't really see that. Either way.
Here's the tweet that Deion put out yesterday. Will someone please help me track down who put the lies out there that was a response to the latest coach attack on Colorado? Please help me identify the liar. So he did not make that comment that the media is throwing out there. So about the Ferrari and all that Lamborghini. Yeah, that was not.
He said he would have said it was a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
See how that's
Whatever.
funny. Come on.
Yeah. So
Chicken, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate that very much.
Perfect crack. Cracker. Thank you. It was clickbait. Exactly.
Of course it was. And in the
anyway,
here's the thing. It's good for Deion to have people hating on him, because then no matter what happens, if they do better than what they did last year, it's a win for them, really, first and foremost. They did have to rebuild that roster. It's a different situation. I really don't know why BV chose to say that stuff about I don't really know where that came from. And it could have been something that got asked of him. And so he responded. I didn't hear the interview other than I just saw that one quote. So I'm not going to tell you the context of what I think I know about it. That being said, I think you probably could have been a little less pointed about it maybe. But in the end, do I really care? No, I don't. And I don't think Coach Prime cares, nor do I think that BV really cares what Coach Prime thinks. It's not their job to worry about each other.
No, they got bigger fish to fry. Logan, no, we were in the middle of Baylor.
Yeah, here we go.
When we went off
we were in the middle of Baylor. Let's go back to Baylor. All right. They obviously close out the season. Yeah. I think this is another one of those.
Back to the Bears.
These games are a little bit. Some of them are tougher than others. They get Kansas State and TCU in back-to-back weeks to close out the year, other than the West Virginia game at home. But I mean, those two games right there. Look, if I could see this thing turning south really easy for Baylor, and this is what I was kind of going to get at. I really feel like this is one of those deals where, because you could see them losing to Iowa State. I figured they beat Houston. I don't know that I believe too much in Dana and what he's got going on there. When you see them fighting on the sidelines last year, you tend to wonder what kind of cohesion they're going to have first year because it's only going to be harder this year, right? They were doing that against Kansas.
Yeah,
they got to go. Go ahead.
About half their schedule is pretty a toss-up game, So it could either go back, and what I said about Dave Aranda earlier, I think Dave Aranda is a hell of a coach. I think he can coach up the defense, but I think he has kind of rode the LSU fandom or the fame, and I think it's kind of, losing its steam a little bit. And I think that this is a year for him to, I think put up or shut up. So, So,
listen, hey Logan, if you want to jump in a minute, you can talk a little bit about Baylor after we get through these other ones. I'd love to have you on there if you got time to do it. I sent the link. It's in here, so jump in and do that, guys. Listen. Baylor, I mean, I know you think that TCU isn't going to be crap. I tend to think that they are. They have a good quarterback. It is a different offense, but this is – and I think that it's going to be – it goes like how it went with Lincoln to, obviously to Levy, it's a lot different as far as the lingo is concerned and some of the routes are concerned. So I think they could struggle there.
I
Go ahead.
think I'm gonna agree with
You're an
Logan.
offensive guy, so talk to me. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna agree with Logan. I think it's gonna be a down year for TCU.
I kind of do too. I've been
Chandler
saying that
Morris,
I think they're gonna have
is
a
he gonna
hangover.
play a full? Is he gonna play a full season? You got a new offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles, a way different system than what Garrett Riley runs.
Absolutely.
And so that's I think you're going to see some growing pains. Defensively, you lost a lot of really good players off of that defense. And so for me, I really don't. I think it's going to be
super seniors and everything else. Yeah, I think that it sets up for them to have a hangover year. I know a lot of people think that they're going to do some good things. Okay, and I think Sonny's a good coach. I just think that I think that they're going to have to rebound this year and do some recruiting and maybe they're going to have to beef up in the portal, I think, probably, because they're never going to be that team that's going to out recruit everybody else, right? Yeah. You know, as far as it just doesn't seem that way. And that's not how Sonny is. But I think offensively, they're always going to be able to dial it up. I just think on the defensive side,
I think
what we see
Logan, Logan, I disagree with you when you say Kendall is a pretty day. I've never really liked him. I think he's rode the coattails of his dad, and I don't think he's ever really put anything out there that's his own. And Arkansas, he had some guys that could, make some plays and stuff like that. But his play calling has been a little sussy, especially the last couple of years. And then last year at Arkansas. So, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, KJ did not look good with him last year. There was times that I think KJ is one of the better players in the SEC as far as quarterbacks are concerned. I mean, you heard the SEC podcast guys were saying he's the best one. I don't know that I'm going to go there, but that being said, I think that it didn't look great to me, and I almost feel like Kendall was kind of a second, even third choice for Sonny. Once Garrett got out of there, because it's not the same system. So it's not even really what Sonny does. So it's kind of different for me. And
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's just like the whole dynamic.
I really think that the biggest thing that I noticed with these guys is, hey, again, they're gonna have to play defense, and it's the same thing I'll say about Josh at Tennessee. I love their offense and what they're gonna do there, and the guys that they're bringing in, but I'm not seeing them beef up on the defensive side like you're gonna have to in the SEC to get that done there. I feel the same way about TCU. And until one of these air raid guys wins one, can you believe that they will? You know what I mean? It's tough for me.
You got to play complimentary football.
You do.
Yeah.
All right. Morris already knew the offense when little brother showed up, and now he has to learn. Yeah, listen, I get it. Yeah, now he has to change. He has to change it up. So it's a whole different deal. Yeah. All right. Now, like we said, closing out the season, TCU, but then they also get West Virginia. That should be a win there, but I think it could go one of two ways here. They could either take a dive or they could have a really good season, but it almost looks a lot like it was last year for them, where they have those key moments in the season where they could go one way or the other. You could easily see this turning ugly for them towards the latter part of the year if you don't see a big improvement from Blake. And if you don't see something out of them in the trenches, I think that they're going to struggle. And, we're going to find out, man. That's I truly think that there may be a disconnect between Aranda and these kids. I just really think that way. And I don't know what, Logan, maybe you disagree, but I'm a little off of it. I think I sent you that text message. Like, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. And Coach Roybal was like, he goes, I don't get this dude. He's soft. And even though this dude's a defensive guy, right? And so it's weird. But I actually I think Dave Aranda's a great guy. I don't want to be ugly about him, but I just think that I'm not too sure that I'm sold on him, man. It looked to me like he was going to get the freaking Nebraska job. And now it looks like he could be in trouble mid-season. If they're not moving in the direction that you want to see them go through. Okay, Bears defense, will be better. Okay. All right. Well, listen, man, I'd like to believe you, and I believe that he knows what he's doing there. So that's one thing.
I don't think their defense has been as bad as people let on. I think it's just offensively kind of letting them down. And like you said, their offensive line has to get better because, they got sacked 22 times last year, and they got to be able to protect up front and get something going. So,
right. Yeah, I think that Dave would be a cool guy that I think he is kind of introverted, and once you get to know him, it'd be cool. But I think it's tough for kids, though, is what I'm saying. I don't know how the connection is for 18 to 21-year-old kids for him. You know what I mean? It just seemed like there could be a disconnect there. I don't know if he does what he says and coaches to win instead of starting the guys he feels bad for. Yeah, I mean, at this point of your career, if we're having to worry about that, that's a problem, Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, shit, we're talking about major college football. That's wild, man. Yeah. And he should regret how he handled it. Listen, why you let that guy get out of there? I mean, he told him what was it was kind of the same way I feel about OU and the whole thing with Dylan, telling him he was the starter as he to get him to come. You could have done that quietly and gotten somebody else to say, hey, yeah, we're going to let you come in and compete with Dylan, whether you wanted him to or not, because they, we don't even have to talk about that. The backup situation was not good, and I don't think it was there at Baylor either. I don't. So, yep, I think you're right about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that too. And that's something that we saw with Dylan Gabriel a lot last year too, is holding on to the freaking football too long. So I get it. I get it, man. There's a lot of those things that you see. Again, they finished the same as Oklahoma. So we're going to find out, where they go from there, who's improved, who hasn't. Too bad that OU and Baylor don't play again there, Logan, this year. Too bad for OU anyway. All right. We will go. Hey, guys, make sure. Let's see. We don't have a ton of folks in here right now, but yeah, so we got 10 likes, 11 people watching at the moment. Make sure you share us, let everybody know that we're in here doing this, and get us out there. If you guys are looking, if you're a tailgater or something like that, go in and check out our partner site with Louisiana Grills and Smokers. These things are unbelievable. Right now with our deal, you can get $100 off any of their black label grills and smokers there in our partner site. It's hofmedia.us/Louisiana-grills. Hey, man, they got some unbelievable stuff there. I remember my granddad used to have one of these Louisiana grills, and it was unbelievable. He always was doing smoker stuff. I love that kind of stuff and tailgating. So you guys, if you're one of those folks that loves that kind of stuff too, jump in there and check it out, man. You'll get a great deal on it. You can always check out our official podcast merchandise. We got the 4-star booty gear in there, along with the Lincoln Riley Blocked Me badge of honor shirts as well, and your horns down gear as always. Get in there, check that out. hofmedia.us/pod-merch. You can always also get your favorite gear for your favorite team at our Fanatics partner website as well. Get up to 65% off everything in the store, sometimes free shipping. You're going to get the best deal you can get, and it's time to gear up. We got less than 50 days until the season starts. Time to get your new gear and get ready for the season. Check it all out, man. Yeah, I'm not going to post that, Logan. You say that again, and I'm going to have to kick you. You know how I do this. All right. Yeah. All right. Moving on, let me unshare this screen. It's unshared. Let's get into Kansas. Jalen Daniels, preseason player of the year in the Big 12, but they do have them picked to finish 9th in the conference. What do you think about that, Drew?
It's going to be interesting because with Kansas, they are returning 10 starters on offense, including their quarterback, including Devin Neal, Luke Grimes, their receiver. They're returning their offensive line. They got Logan Brown from Wisconsin, who is going to help, shore up some of the stuff on the offensive line. Defensively, they're returning 7 starters as well. And so for me, it's one of those things where can Kansas get over the hump and win more than 6 or 7 games? It's going to be one of those things where, I think some people are high on them. Some people are just like what, some of the predictions have been with, finishing towards the bottom of the Big 12. So for me, I kind of like where they're trending. But yeah, only losing one starter on offense, that's going to be key. Looking at their schedule early, Missouri State, Missouri State. I'm not worried about that game anymore now that Bobby Petrino has left, and they're going to look a whole lot different. Week 2, a lot of good week 2 games. That's going to be a really good game. Home against Illinois. Brett Bielema bringing a tough, physical Illinois defense or Illinois team down. That's going to be an intriguing little game. Daniels and Neal are going to be a crazy duo, like Logan just said. At Nevada, that's we'll see what's that. That's going out to Nevada, playing a road game, kind of a weird place to go. And then opening up with BYU, that's going to be a tough Big 12 opener.
Good thing for them, it's going to be at home, right?
Yeah, good thing for them. Yeah, and then they go at Texas. That's going to be, everybody always jokes about, Kansas beating Texas, but I mean, they could have. You never know. Central Florida at Okie Light. They get a bye week before they come to Norman, so that's kind of a scary. Or before we go to Kansas, excuse me, we're on the road, and then at Iowa State, Tech, Kansas State at home. That's going to be a nice one. Obviously with that rivalry and everything like that. And then they finish at Cincinnati. So, I mean, it's Kansas really intrigues me because of what they have coming back. Lance Leipold, really good coach coming into his 3rd year. Really, really exciting bowl game with Arkansas last year and everything like that. But, obviously that early game with Illinois, we're going to learn a little bit about their physicality and what they're about there. Because I think Bielema and them could have a good team. BYU at Texas. Obviously, the K-State game is always just because it's a rivalry game. And then that last one at Cincinnati could be the toss-up games for me. Obviously, I think they'll probably go down to Texas and lose that game just because it's a tough game. But then again, with the experience that they have coming back, who knows? I like Kansas. I think they can get over that hump. I think they can win 7 or 8 games this year, maybe a few more. Who knows? But their schedule.
Here's what I was thinking about this schedule, man, a lot, Drew, is that most of their conference games that are their hardest ones, when you start looking at, obviously UCF, if you think they're going to be good, I don't. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and even the K-State game. All these are at home games. So not that they have a
tough road game if you're really looking at it
advantage, but not having to play on the road is huge,
at
right?
Texas is the only game that you could really say that's going to be a tough game. The other ones we don't really know until later on in the season. Obviously, Oklahoma State, we really don't know what the hell they're going to be about. Iowa State, you never know with Matt Campbell's teams what they look like.
I think that one could be tough, but I'm saying the ones that we think are. I mean, if you're looking at who everybody's predicting to be good, Texas Tech, K-State being the defending champs, even home BYU being one of those spoiler teams, they get all them at home. The Texas game on the road, I think that's hard. They've won it. They won in Austin though before. I think that with Jalen that was his first game back whenever they played against Texas last year. He may have been a little rusty, but Texas knew to run the football. I think if they do that again, Kansas is probably in trouble there. That would be their biggest.
Their defense is going to be their defense is going to be their question mark. Are they going to be able to stop people?
Other than if they're healthy defensively, what are they going to to do?
Are they going to be able to stop folks enough to have their offense score some points? That's going to be their biggest question mark, and it is for a lot of people, but especially for Kansas because that their offense is going to score some points because they've got Daniels back and they've also got Bean back who played well last year too.
Hey, look, I think that Jason Bean turned out to be a lot better than any of us thought he was. Logan, right? Logan and I we all were kind of busting on Jason Bean, but I mean, he played he went toe to toe with OU in Norman. Of course, that defense was just not good last year for Oklahoma, but But I do feel like with Lance Leipold, this is another one of those deals like we were talking about with Kleiman. This guy comes from the Division III level. He won 7 national championships there. This guy went to Buffalo, which another one of those schools you didn't even know existed. And they were top 25 before he left.
Yep.
Got him in the top 25. So this is he's a big time coach. And one thing I'll say about the Big 12, it's loaded with freaking coaches, man. Loaded with coaches. So aside from Okie Light Mike and, maybe
I'm gonna go out and make a prediction for Kansas.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Kansas 8-5.
Okay. So they're gonna improve
or
by a couple of games.
7-5, 8-4, somewhere around
8-4, 7-5. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of there with that too. I think they're gonna finish inside of the top 7. I think they're on the top half of it. I don't see any way possible that UCF is better than them. There's no way I think that. I know that the other 3, if I probably like BYU better than a lot of people do, but I do think that and maybe that's because I just think Satake is such a great coach, and I mean I love listening to him talk at Big 12 Media Days as well. Yeah. But I do think that out of all of them, UCF probably has more talent, but I don't know, man. I think they put themselves in a position to not do that great, and I don't know that they're going to be able to deal with
Kansas is going to lose games because of their defense, and I think their offense is going to be able to score points. But can their defense do enough for them to win them some toss-up games?
Right.
See you, Logan.
See you, Logan, man. Talk to you later. Look, before he coached Buffalo, Tommy Frazier was their head coach. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize that, dude. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't even know they were a team before Lance got them in the top 25.
Turner Gill was also a coach there too.
Turner Gill. That's right. Now I remember all this now that you guys are saying that, but that's pretty wild.
They're not as far out there as Long Island.
Amazing guy that dude was. So. not quite as
We've actually heard of Buffalo, So.
Maybe I don't know that I had, but anyway.
I have.
Listen, I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so we're going to close out this deep dive with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And Joey McGuire in his second season. In his first season, he did something that no other Texas Tech head coach has ever done. He beat Texas and Oklahoma in the same season. One of the things that you saw this past week that people were getting a little antsy about him and I don't think this is real, but where, he kind of doubled down on his, the conference comes through Lubbock stuff. He said during that whole press conference thing that was something that he didn't intend for the world to see, that was something that got out because of their storyteller. But he's not going to obviously back off of it, and they were asking him about it, so this is what he said. He was not trying to just be boastful. What I'm going to tell you is this guy is recruiting on another level. As we talked about starting off this program, these guys have done things that recruiting wise that you just don't do at Tech. Mike Leach didn't do this at Tech. You didn't see him getting this many 4 stars and then, one of the top receivers in the country that looks like he's a lock for Texas Tech. And now part of that has being that, his dad is a legacy guy. But I got to tell you, I believe that this is, if they can hold on to Joey McGuire, Texas Tech is a real threat moving forward. And I think they're a real threat this year. I think that what it's going to boil down to is, can Tyler Shuck stay healthy? He hasn't been able to do that yet. He was at Oregon. He didn't stay healthy. When he got to Tech, he hasn't played 10 games yet as a quarterback. They do return 18 starters overall. So this is a team that
all 11 on offense.
All 11 on offense. They have, and I mean, each one of these guys are, they've got another one coming in that impressed everybody during the Elite 11 this year. Each one of these guys are Elite 11 quarterbacks that they're going to have on this roster.
One kid that I like is the running back, Taj Brooks. Taj
Brooks. I like him too.
He's a good explosive kid. So we'll see. And then they're returning like 5 or 6 guys on defense. So the cupboard's not completely bare. I think, and I've heard people say this, they could be a Kansas State type of team where I'm not saying they could end up in the Big 12 tournament or Big 12 championship, but I mean, some people are calling
Would
them
it surprise
a
you though?
dark horse.
I mean,
You never know. And
yeah.
Every once in a while, they pop up and have a really, really good season. So,
yeah. So let's pop this up here. Their schedule here starts off with. Let me find that thing. I don't have it very good. Let me jump off.
They're at Wyoming.
Yeah, they're starting off on the road at Wyoming, but as you see in week 2, it gets real. They play host to. They're going to play host to Oregon. Coming in,
crazy because I see
what a game, right?
That week 2, across the board in college football. Like we just talked about all 4 of these teams. That's going to be a really good week of college football. Coming out. There's a lot of good games that week. So hopefully I'll be able to watch some.
Yeah, listen, I think I was with you, man. I was looking at that. Every game looks like a good game for these Big 12 teams, other than probably Oklahoma's. I think it's is that the
SMU?
Yeah, SMU. It could be okay, I guess. It could be okay. It's not going to be great, probably, but I hope it isn't. I hope they beat the brakes off of SMU. So I want to see them really kind of go out. Yeah, and you're right, Hank. Lubbock is a tough place for people to play. It is, and they've look. This is an energized fan base, and what I'll tell you about in having covered Texas Tech, when as I have, when they're good, they get energized and they will come out, and we know the stories about Texas Tech. I don't know about all the battery stuff. I've seen some tortillas fly around.
Tortillas, yep.
Yeah, I don't know about the battery stuff. I've never seen that myself, and I'm not going to say that. But what I would tell you is that they definitely they get rowdy. So, and look, anytime you're coming off a year that you beat, and even though OU was a bit down and Texas didn't, they underachieved. Look,
we were more than a bit.
Never happened before, though. It's never happened before that they beat them both. So, as we talked about, when you've got a coach like this that has the ability to kind of attract solid kids in there, and that want to come and play in Lubbock, this is a big deal for them. I think they're staking their claim for that. And he's endearing himself really to the media and everybody else too. He showed up at Big 12 Media Days wearing the lining of his jacket was, it was pretty cool. It actually had pirates in it. The old Jolly Rogers is in there. Yeah, so that was cool. Yep. Yeah, in honor of Leach, and he admitted during that he didn't really have much of a relationship with Mike. He was early in his head coaching career. Whenever Mike got the job, he met him once or twice, but he's embracing the best parts of what Texas Tech was, right?
I'll tell you one good thing. I'm glad that we got Emmett Jones, and Texas Tech don't have Emmett Jones.
Boy, me too. Me too, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. Look, and hey, and for the you got. Obviously, we talked a little bit. I did on Voice of College Football this morning, talking about Zion Reagan's coming in. Mm-hmm. Talk about a burner, take it off the top kind of good man. Yeah. This kid, that's a big pickup, man. Big pickup, and to get him out of Georgia in that area, this. Everybody, if you just relax a little bit, OU's gonna be all right because they can recruit. Give them time; they're gonna be okay.
Hey, stay tuned. Friday too, we got another commitment being decided with Taylor Tatum. So, trending. I think trending up in the right direction. So
he's definitely trending towards Oklahoma, from what I can tell as well. All right, so week 3, they're on the road at West Virginia. This sets up pretty good for them. As you see, then they're home with Houston. They should beat the crap out of Houston. Although I will say, Donovan Mitchell will be that'll be his return to Lubbock. And Donovan Smith. I'm sorry, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Smith will be returned to Lubbock. And you know what? Athletically, I kind of agree with you, Hank. He was that guy that was more athlete. I really think that their best quarterback is their backup too. I can kind of see this as a Texas situation that if we see Tyler Shuck go down again, it might not be the worst thing in the world for him. Yeah, I was watching RC and Lyle Leong on their show. It's that Back to 12 podcast. Great show, by the way, if you're a Texas Tech guy. They were talking a little bit about that. And, they really like the, either one of these quarterbacks they feel like would be a top 5 quarterback in this league this season. I tend to agree with that. I think that they're going to be pretty good there, and what they're doing offensively, it's just what they do there. This is what they do there. They know that air raid is, it's seamless to move on at Texas Tech. So I think if they can keep it together on defense, which obviously they had a top 10 guy on the defense last year, drafted. Look, that's a different deal too. I don't see this as your normal Texas Tech football team. They're doing things, they're thinking bigger than what you probably would have ever thought, other than those couple of years towards the end of when Mike Leach was there and what he was doing. So, and really, even then, they weren't recruiting on this level, guys. They just weren't doing it. So I think that as long as they can keep Joey around, this may be big.
That relationship and that connection that he has with the Texas high school football coaches is a real thing. So,
it really
and
is.
with the new facilities and the renovations that they're doing too in Lubbock, things are looking up for Texas Tech, especially in the new Big 12. When you're not gonna have to worry about Texas and Oklahoma anymore. I see. If, like you said, they gotta keep Joey McGuire around. So
I think they do too, and I think that as much as he's got a daughter that's an alum there, so it seems like it sets up pretty good for him to stay around. What I would tell you is that they have some money at Tech. They don't have A&M or Texas money, and the lure of the SEC. Plus, the lure of those two state schools and the money that they can give you, plus being able to go and compete in the SEC against the best in the country, that could be a lot for him to.
They need to get Jerry Maguire to show him the money.
Yeah, they better. They better. And listen, obviously he's still got to go do it, right? Yep. He hasn't finished this off yet. It looks great right now. I would tell you that everything that I saw from him, everything that I've heard from him, I don't have a problem with it. I think that Tech got them a hell of a coach. And look, again, they got 18 returners coming back off of an 8-win team. They're trending in the right direction. I can see why they're picked to finish in the top 4. They're definitely my dark horse to be one of those teams not named OU or Texas that could be in that championship game in the first weekend in December. I can see that happening, man. I really could. And maybe it could work out if Tyler Shuck isn't able to play 10 games and they have their backup. I think he might be better, Morton. I think he might be better. So
that's gonna be the key is their quarterback play. And can they have a stable guy there to run their offense?
Correct.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like everything he's doing. I like everything that Joey McGuire has been about so far at his time at and like you said, being able to beat OU and Texas in the same year.
Look at this. And the way this schedule kind of finishes off, I really have liked this. And we were talking about it with K-State, but it's the same here with Tech, is that they go on they are home with K-State. They go on the road to BYU, just like Oklahoma does towards the end of the season. Then they got TCU at home, at Kansas, but then they're going to close out the season obviously with Texas on the road. That could be it's going to be one of these.
I think with Texas Tech, the opposite, right? The opposite is said for what we said about Kansas. I think all of Texas Tech's tough games are on the road.
They are. I would think that unless you see TCU better than what we've predicted here,
I don't know. And right now, as I'm looking at it right now, without seeing,
if you could get that Oregon win, though, what kind of momentum would that
giant
put you on? Right,
huge.
And do you expect them to win?
Then you're talking about well, where do we go? Where do we see a loss the rest of the way?
Mm-hmm.
Until Texas, maybe Kansas State. If you go win that Oregon game, that's a huge momentum booster.
On a hell of a run, right?
Yep.
Right. And if they can stay healthy through that, and again, I think that they're going to do things defensively, because this is what Joey's a defensive coach. That's what he is. He was the assistant head coach at Baylor and defensive coordinator under Matt Rule. So, And a lot of people, when we were talking about it last night, a lot of people were giving a lot of the credit for their conference championship to Joey and his continuity, staying over after Matt Rule. So listen, I think that the sky's the limit here. I do tend to feel like they're a year away here, but I would not be that surprised if they ended up in that championship game, particularly like we said, if they win that game, that week 2 game, it could propel them to things that you've never seen.
2 things to watch for Texas Tech this year: health and depth.
Yeah,
I think those are the 2 things that are going to keep them from, like you said. I think because that they may be 1 year away, but 2 things that are really going to either help them or hurt them is, health and how much depth they have behind those starters.
Right. Yeah, and look, and the other thing I'm going to say this is that one of the things that I noticed, I mean, obviously we talked about Kansas in this one as well, but they seem to pop up at the end of a lot of these contender schedules, and everybody's picking them to finish 9th, but they could play spoiler a lot too and really get into that top 7 to 5 area, and they could be a pain in everybody's ass too. Jalen Daniels
that's what I like about that. Man. That's what I like about that Texas game at the end of the year, because there could be a lot of money on the table.
There could.
You never know.
I agree, man. And hey,
maybe we could see another Crabtree moment again.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. Yeah. The only thing, and that would obviously be on the road. That I think that you're gonna find out a lot about these guys this year, though, because they're gonna have some of these test games, as you said, on the road. So they do get to host K-State. But then having to go to BYU, that's going to be a night game.
I think that's going
to be a night game.
The big thing for me is can that depth behind those starters.
I would agree. And I think their receivers, while they're recruiting well at the receiver, I think they're pretty unproven there. Yep. Listening to Lyle and RC talk about that the last couple of days, the last few shows that I've watched, that's Lyle's concern. He was a receiver there at Tech, so. That's their biggest concern, is whether or not who they're going to get production out of. They've got some guys that they believe in, kind of similar to OU, but they haven't really shown it yet, right? Sure. So we're going to find out kind of where they are. We're going to find out and see what they look like. Okay, so guys, let me go through some of these. And Lubbock is a tough place to play for everyone else. Yeah, we talked about that. Battery and tortillas thrown around. Listen, again, I haven't seen the batteries. I have seen plenty of tortillas tossed around there. Wow. And then I saw that one little chubby dude running through and hitting that kid from Texas last year, which I thought was stupid. Love the Fighting Joey, says Chicken. OU TTU championship game from Hank. You're saying cannibalism of some of these teams' schedules are a thing. Yeah. Hey, and here's the thing, guys. Let's be real about this. I talked about this on Voice of College Football the other day, and he believes that too. Mark does. This is the toughest league, top to bottom, as far as competitive. I think they're all competitive with each other, right? You could lose any week after a certain level. There's teams a couple of years ago, maybe not. And I do think that there's some bottoms. I think that West Virginia is going to be – I think that Neil Brown is dead man walking. I also think that about Dana Holgerson. I think that he gets this year, and it could go really south for him. We'll talk about that as we get into his deep dive later on into this. I kind of feel like both of those coaches could be out of here by mid-year. You could see that happening because it could get going that bad for them. If you know anything about the new AD at West Virginia, he kind of got stuck with Brown, and I don't know that he was ready to kind of pull that trigger anyway. But I don't think that it's Wren. What's his last? He was at Oklahoma State for a long time, right? The guy knows what he's doing. He's done a great job everywhere he's been, and so I feel like he'll evaluate what he sees early. I think that West Virginia is recruited pretty well, but I just don't see how you can end up expecting that, right? Sean Holiday. Oh yeah. Well, that I would think that's the bottom. I don't see the three. But I mean, I could see 3 or 4 teams that might beat Oklahoma. I don't see all of them doing it. So we'll see. That looks good. Yeah, you always like my SHS. Southern Highlands, not Sean Holiday, bro. All right. Well, the schedule at 10-2 floor is what Hank says. Hey, guys, remember, let's not drink too much Kool-Aid yet until they get out there and actually do it, right? You know, we saw that last year. Then it just breeds contempt if they don't get it done. Now, I would say with this,
you got me hungry now, man.
yeah, with ranch style beans as my
just
side.
minus the chili, and we got it going on.
Yum, man. Chopped Angus medium rare. Ooh. Yeah, bro. If I can get to Cincinnati, I want one of those, bro. So let's get ready for that. All right. Dana to Stillwater. Yeah. Would it surprise you? He kind of turned it around for them before whenever he was the OC there. And it kind of works for Gundy. For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to be able to get Kale to go. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, that's all. Anyway.
Thought your prediction was fair. Hey, listen, maybe it is. Possibly. I think that Oklahoma needs to prove what they got to do, right? I think that their floor better be 9-3, though. I think if not, I think you're going to see a lot of folks with that schedule. I think you're going to see a lot of folks that are going to be right in Venable's grill. And what I would tell you about the whole Oklahoma thing is that the amount of misinformation and crap that's out there about Oklahoma and what they are and what they were when Lincoln left is astounding to me. I mean, it was on Colin Cowherd had another podcast with that one knucklehead that he's got on his college football show, and they were repeating a lot of that same stupid shit that they were loaded with. It was an 11-2 team. It was not an 11-2 team when you had.
I've been over this. I'm tired of hearing about it.
So stupid, right?
Yeah.
So stupid.
Get some new stuff.
Yeah.
Come on,
find something. I mean, at least, yeah, dude, you're freaking working at and making millions. We know what you're doing. You're trying to get OU guys stirred up. Yeah. And
guys out there, people, listen, OU fans out there, don't click. Don't. That's what he wants.
I don't
That's
watch it. I just see what I see on Twitter and I let it go because I can't watch him anymore.
No,
I can't watch him anymore. I broke a TV last year watching this dumbass. It pissed me off. So, and I'm not one to do stuff like that, but he irritates the shit out of me. And that's the thing is that's what he's trying to do. He knows he's going to get a rise out of OU fans. Don't let him do it. Right.
Gotcha.
Okay. 9 wins would be a win for me. Listen, I don't disagree with you necessarily. I would take it too, because here's the thing: what we do know, and the portal makes things a little bit different, and this schedule makes things a little bit different. Sean, I do feel like they could win 10. I would never say undefeated because I think that they're only favored to lose one, and that would be to Texas.
Sean,
but you can see a couple of different ones that are. Oh, so yeah, he's doing that. This is the troll.
He's got the cow turd method going on.
Yeah, this is he's just trolling, man, because we were talking about it. Because we were talking about it. Yeah, and you can't watch them with you guys. But so yeah, we're not going to throw that up there, Sean. But yeah, I agree that the 9 wins wouldn't be terrible. It just wouldn't, right?
I would take it. That's progress.
Yeah, listen, it is. It is. You'd like to see him win 10. You'd like to see them win the whole damn thing. I think if they're playing and in contention for that conference championship game and they get to 9 wins, everything over that is gravy.
Yeah.
You're headed to the SEC next year. That's when it matters. Would you like to see them win it on the way out? Sure. And with this schedule, I think that you could see that, because you don't have Tech. That's a loss last year. You don't have Baylor, another loss last year. You don't have K-State. That's 3 losses in the last 4. Those are, the rest of them, you've generally seen them do pretty well. Again, looking at this Texas Tech, I mean, as much as I think that they're a contender, you look at their schedule, it's a lot tougher than what is Oklahoma's, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to look at it in that way. I think that the toughest, aside from the Texas game, is probably going to be Kansas, That's probably it. I think they're going to beat the brakes off of Okie Light. So when you look at Tech, they got Oregon early in the year, but I think then they come down the stretch with on the road at BYU. They do get Kansas State at home, but then, and they get TCU at home, but they got to go on the road to play Kansas and they got to go on the road to play Texas. And with Texas being the favorite to win the whole thing, you're going to find out a lot about Texas Tech right now. That's why I kind of feel like they're a year away, but look, if they could win that Oregon game, it could change it all, right? I just feel like that. It'd be fun to see them in Oklahoma, right? Guys, thanks so much for coming out and checking us out. We will be doing at least a few more of these. If we can get Drew back in here, we would happily do that. I know you got 2 days and everything about to start up, with high school coaching. Good luck on your new job. Where are you at again? So what's your new job there?
I am at for those in the Oklahoma City metro area, all around. If anybody knows Oklahoma high school football, I'm at Mount St. Mary's Catholic High School. It's a private school in Oklahoma City, South Oklahoma City, and I am the running backs coach and special teams coordinator at the Mount. So we get going, finish up summer workouts, and then we get going August 7th, and then our first game is week 0, August 25th. So at home. So
very cool.
It's coming.
We'll have to get out there and check you out, man. I'm gonna have to get out there and come check them out.
For sure.
And see
and I'm in Norman. For those folks that are around here, I live in Norman now. So you ever around, man, shoot me out. Follow me on Twitter, all that stuff at England1Drew. And and then our podcast is actually kicking back out August 1st, the Under Official Review podcast. Me and my buddy Zach Merrill talk all things college football and NFL stuff. And then the Anything OU podcast with my buddy Christian Williams. We'll be getting that going again too. So always good to jump on with my buddy Jay and talking football. So if I can, I'll jump on
definitely
weekend and talk more Big 12. Love it.
Sounds good, man. After we're done with the Big 12, we are going to try to dive into some of the SEC schools as well. I know you're keeping up with it just as much as I am.
Well, and that's what we're going to do starting August 1st. We're going to start breaking down more preseason conference by conference. Me and Zach. Cool. Zach's a Buckeye fan, so we'll do the Big 10 stuff, all that. Yeah, we'll love to have you on as well. So I love talking college football and seeing all the predictions and everything like that, and then having our own. So we can jump on and talk and all that stuff. So
fellas, thanks. And again, thanks a lot, Drew, for coming in, helping me out with this deep dive. You got to throw the horns down. I mean, this is kind of what we do here. But guys, thanks so much for showing up for this one. We will announce the next one in here. Guys, don't be getting in big arguments in the freaking comments there. It's all good. But hey, we appreciate you guys coming out. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. And if you're not a subscriber, please become one. But we will see you guys on the next one.